All right, we give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach today. We'll pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. So search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they was testified be, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, you receive me not. For another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that come from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there is one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? So praise be to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua. Let's pick this up in Psalms 139, verse 4, if you would. For there is not a word in my tongue, but lo, O Yahuwah, you know it all together. You beset me behind and before, and laid your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high, I cannot attain unto it. Whether shall I go from your ruach, or whether shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend up into Shamahim, you are there. If I make my bed in hell, you are there. If I take my wings in the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there shall your hand lead me, your right hand shall hold me. So let's take a look at verse 7 more specifically. I think we talked about verse 5 and 6. Saturday. So when we look at presence, that is panem, that is face. So he said, whether will I go from your face, or shall I flee from your face? Let's take a look at it in this regard. Deuteronomy 30, because now we got, if I ascend up into heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in hell, you are there. So Deuteronomy 30. Dang, I was supposed to went over there and did that. Goodness grief. Deuteronomy 30 and 11. For this commandment, which I command you this day, is not hidden from you, neither is it far off. It is not in Shamahim that you should say, who shall go up for us to Shamahim and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. Neither is it beyond the sea that you should say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. But the word is near, very near unto you, in your mouth and in your heart, that you may do it. Now look, he say, if he ascend into heaven, you are there. Pause. Let's go to John chapter 3. Or really John chapter 6. John chapter 6 instead, 6 and 60. Many therefore of his disciples, when they had heard this, said, this is a hard saying, who can hear it? When Yahushua knew himself that his disciples murmured, added, he said, do this offend you? What and if you shall see the Son of Man ascend where he was before? So now we're going to reference John chapter 16. He told them that it was expedient that he depart, or the Comforter will not come. So when we look at him ascending into heaven, he know that his Father is there. But let's take a look at it, and let's do this. I'm trying to decide which one I want to choose. We'll choose Hebrews 1. Hebrews 1 and 1. Elohim, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, having these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he have appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds. who being the brightness of his esteem and the express image of his person, upholding all things by the word of his power, when he had by himself purged our sins, sat down on the right hand of the majesty on high. So even when he ascended on high, Elohim was there. There was nowhere that he could go from his spirit. There was nowhere where he could flee from his face or from his presence. When he went up into heaven, he was there. He said, if he makes his bed in hell, he is there. Let's look at Romans chapter 8 for that point. No, I seen something with my homeboy today, man. He got married a month ago. Wife just passed away. You know what I'm saying? And that's a hard one. But I was telling Standard this the other day, all it do is, especially with us talking about the resurrection of the dead. As a child, and I've told you before, I've always thought about death. Now, death is a little different now, but not death in a fearful aspect, but thinking about what it's going to be when them lights go out. What is that going to be like when that last thought departs from your brain? I ain't even thinking about the last breath or the last heartbeat, because you know in Ecclesiastes say your thoughts perish. So when that last thought departs from your brain, what will that last thought be before they stop? I can remember dealing with the beginning with the word and understanding that death is literally like when you are asleep. Because when you're asleep, you have your thoughts, but you have no idea what is going on around you. None whatsoever. People could walk past you and you wouldn't be cognizant of it. All type of things could go on around you and you would have no idea what has occurred. You know what I'm saying? Thinking about the day, the time, but then you sit back and you're understanding that if you're serving Yahuwah, you have a type of hope that others do not have. That achieving that from that state that we're told that once you're gone and it's over, that one day you will awake from that state and then prayerfully see this man's face, like we read in Psalm 17. But boom, boom, boom. Let's look at 8 and 10. Romans 8 and 10. I know that's a rough one for him, man. I don't know how long he was with the woman, but only 30 days. I think they have been saying, man, in the last, at least in this city, at least how they calculated it, that about 750 people of the 2,000 people who passed from old COVID passed right here in Duval County. And she was a big lady, so she very well could have passed from that. Romans 8 and 10. If Mashiach be in you, the body is dead because of sin. The Ruach is life because of righteousness. But if the Ruach of him that raised up Yahushua from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Mashiach from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by his Ruach that dwell in you. In fact, now I was thinking about something else. 1 Peter chapter 4. Not him preaching to the spirits in prison. That's not what I'm thinking about. 4 and 5, if you would. 1 Peter 4 and 5. This particular fashion right there, and we'll come back to John chapter 6. He said, who shall give account to him that is ready to judge the quick and the dead? So, of course, those who are alive and those who are dead. Now, let's come over here to John chapter 6. We start at verse 62. We'll swing right over here into verse 63. He said, it is the Ruach that make alive, the flesh profit nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are Ruach and they are life. So understanding whether it be in above or whether it be in the grave, his spirit is present. It is there. That very essence is what rose him from the dead. That very essence is what exists in heaven when we were talking about that second and third heaven. When we're looking at verse 9, if I take wings in the morning and dwell in the uttermost part of the sea. Let's look at the wings. And then the morning. This is verse 9 of Psalms 139. And of course, you know that's kanaf, your wing, your extremity, so on and so forth. And then, of course, shakar for morning, shan, cotton, rosh, paired and separated unto the highest. But let's take a look at this one here with wings in the morning. Zechariah chapter 14. 14 and 6, if you would. And it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear, but it shall be in one day that it be known to Yahuwah, not day nor night, but it shall come to pass that at evening time it shall be light. Well, that's why I look at dwelling in the uttermost parts of the sea. Of course, you know, they said at evening time it shall be light. That's why I say if I take the wings of the morning or grab onto the border of the extremity of light. Let's take a look at that at another location. I think we read about the story the other day. But we can go to Zechariah 8 and 23 before we do. You know, make it 8 and 18. Zechariah 8 and 18. And the word of Yahuwah of hosts came unto me, saying, Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, the fast of the 4th month, and the fast of the 5th, and the fast of the 7th, and the fast of the 10th shall be to the house of Yehudah joy and gladness, cheerful feasts, therefore love, truth, and shalom. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, it shall come to pass that there shall come people and inhabitants of many cities, and the inhabitants of one city shall go to another, saying, Let us go speedily to pray before Yahuwah, and to seek Yahuwah of hosts I will go also. Yet many people and strong nations shall come to seek Yahuwah of hosts in Jerusalem, and to pray before Yahuwah of hosts. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold of all languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Yahudim, and we will go with you, for we have heard that Elohim is with you. Now, as far as the coming out of the seas, I'm trying to recall this particular point. But let's come over here to Luke 8. And 41 is fine. Yeah, Luke 8 and 41 is fine. And behold, there came a man named Jairus, who was a ruler of the synagogue, and he fell down at Yahushua's feet and besought him that he would come into his house. For he had only one daughter, about 12 years of age, and she lay dying. But as he went, the people thronged him. A woman having an issue of blood 12 years, which had spent all her living upon physicians, neither could be healed of any. So pause. Let's look at it in this fashion. I think we read Isaiah 55 the other day. No, that wasn't it. That wasn't it. Come to the book of Job. I know we talked about healers not too long ago. I want to say Job as well. Job 13. Job 13. Job 13 and 1. Lo, my eye have seen all this. My ear have heard and understood it. What you know the same do I know also. I am not inferior unto you. Surely I will speak to the Almighty and desire to reason with Elohim. You are forgers of lies. You are all physicians of no value. Oh, that you would altogether hold your shalom, and it should be your wisdom. Now, if you remember, physician, because we were talking about that in regards to what it means, meaning Rapha, someone who is a healer or a physician of men. It said none of the people could heal this woman of her issue of blood. They were healers of no value. Value in this particular verse is Elil, worthless, good for nothing. So when we turn back around and we look at the scribes, they were healers of no value because they could not heal this woman of her issue of blood. Let's look at this stuff in Greek. And it said that's what I was thinking about Isaiah 55 for, because it says she spent up all her living. In Isaiah 55, he said, "Why you come to the come you buy and eat, and why do you spend on that which is not bread?" When it said that she spent, it says to expend besides or to expend further. She has exhausted or given all that she had unto the physicians, and they had nothing. And neither could they heal of nothing. Therapuno is for healed. That is to serve or to do service or to restore, to help or to heal or to cure. So this woman had this issue of blood of 12 years. Let's look at verse 44. Came behind him, touched the border of his garment, and immediately her issue of blood stanched. Let's look at what stanch means. I wager it means to stop. And then that one there, it is histeme. It means to cause, to make a stand, to place, to set, to make firm and to establish, to stand, to stop, to be immovable, to stand, continue safely, unharmed, steadfast, one who does not hesitate nor waver. So when we look at that, you have to stop, but also you have the ability for one to be able to stand, to be immovable, and to be firm. So when the immediately said that the issue of blood has stopped, she is able to stand firm. We see her firmness because of her ability to believe by grabbing hold to the border of his garment. Now we were looking at, now she has a flowing issue. This flowing issue was something that we read in that Leviticus about those issues of, no, we were reading about leprosy. We need to come over here to Leviticus 13 so y'all can see why that was an issue for her out of the law, because there's things about leaking of blood and whatnot. I have to recall the passage specifically for that. And here we go again, looking in Leviticus again, looking at stuff that, of course, you're not necessarily going to take a look at. That's the skin plagues. That's the cleansing of the lepers. That's your leprosy in the garment, leprosy in your house, uncleanliness. And there we go. Leviticus chapter 15 and verse 19. Leviticus 15 and 19. It says, if a woman have an issue, and the issue in her flesh be blood. Well, let's take a look at that in the language so that you can see issue. That is zob, that is zayin, u, and bat. This is a flow. This is an issue. This is a discharge. This is a flux. This is semen, discharge, venereal disease in men, issue, flux in women, or menstrual flux. Zayin, u, and bat. What we see is that a nail has cut the son. Therefore, there is an issue of blood where blood is flowing forth from him. She shall be put apart 7 days. Whosoever touch her shall be unclean until the even. And you recall, this woman had an issue of blood for 12 years. Everything that she lie upon in her separation shall be unclean. Everything also that she sit upon shall be unclean. Whosoever touch her bed shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. Whosoever touch anything that she sat upon shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. If it be on her bed or anything where she sit, when he touch it, he shall be unclean until the evening. If any man lie with her at all, and her flowers be upon him, he shall be unclean 7 days, and the bed whereof he lie on shall be unclean. Let's look at the lie part. Of course, you know that it's a cob, that is to lie down in death, to rest, to relax. In this instance, this is to lie down and rest and relaxation. When you look at flowers, and this one here, it is nadar, that is impurity, filthiness, menstruous, set apart impurity, or ceremonial impurity. Menstruation, impure thing. Noon, dalit, and hay. The sacrifice or the nailing of the man with raised arms brings forth life because of those flowers. And we're going to take those two in a moment and make those make sense, the two words that we mentioned. Verse 25. If a woman have an issue of her blood many days out of the time of her separation, or if it run beyond the time of her separation, all the days of the issue of her uncleanness shall be the days of her separation. She shall be unclean. Every bed where she lie on all the days of her issue shall be under her as the bed of her separation. Whatsoever she sit upon shall be unclean as the uncleanliness of her separation. Whosoever touch those things shall be unclean and shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and she shall be unclean till the evening. Or be unclean until the evening, excuse me. If she be cleansed of her issue, then she shall number to herself 7 days, and that she shall be clean. And on the 8th day she shall take unto her 2 turtles, 2 young pigeons, and bring them unto the priest to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall offer the one for a sin offering, the other for a burnt offering, and the priest shall make atonement for her before Yahuwah for the issue of her uncleanness. Then you shall separate the sons of Yasharal from their uncleanness, that they die not in their uncleanness when they defile my tabernacle that is among them. This is the law of him that have an issue, or of him whose seed go from him and is defiled therewith, and of her that is sick of her flowers, or of him that have an issue, of the man and of the woman, of him that lie with her that is unclean. Now, again, this is the law of him that have an issue. Remember, that is Zud, Zayin, U, and Bat. The nailing and cutting of the son. This is the issue or the discharge. Well, what is the issue? Remember, as Job told his friends that they were physicians of no value. This woman has had an issue of blood for 12 years. Let's come back to Luke 8 and read that one more time. All this bringing from Psalms 139 and 9 of being on the wings of the morning, which is the extremity or the border. And of course, those taking hold of him, that the skirt of him who is a Yahudim, or the border of his garment, and say that I'm going with you because I heard Elohim is with you. This woman comes up upon him and grabs hold of him, believing that she can be healed because she believed that Elohim was with him. Let me read this verse 44. What it is, 43 one more time. Just recall that. We're going to go back and look at some of those things in Leviticus 15 again. Let me get this Greek ready, though. All right, very well then. Verse 43 of verse 42. Luke chapter 8 one more time. For he only had one daughter, 43, I'm sorry. A woman having an issue of blood 12 years, spent all her living upon the physicians, neither could be healed of any. Now, what is it when we're looking at this issue of blood? She has an issue of uncleanness, and the physicians, or the priests, the prophets, and the teachers of that time could not heal her of this, even though she had spent all her living on it. I didn't get living the first time. I'm sorry. Living here is bios, of course, resources, wealth, goods. I know I mentioned Isaiah 55. Let me quote it properly. "55 and 1. Ho, everyone that thirsts, come you to the waters. He that have no money, come you buy and eat. Yea, come buy wine and milk without money and without price. Why do you spend money for that which is not bread?" So we have an instance here where this woman has spent all of her living and has not been healed. She has expended her resources and her wealth, and these men have not given her what she needs in order to be healed. Let's look at Ezekiel 22 for further exploration in that matter. (22 and 27). For princes in the midst thereof are like wolves, ravening to the prey, to shed blood and to destroy souls, to get dishonest gain. For prophets have daubed them with untempered mortar, seeing vanity, divining lies unto them, saying, Thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, when Yahuwah have not spoken. The people of the land have used oppression and exercised robbery, and vexed the poor and needy. Yea, They have oppressed the stranger wrongfully. And I sought for a man among them that they should make up the hedge and stand in the gap before me for the land that I should destroy it. But I found none. Therefore I poured out my indignation upon them. I have consumed them with the fire of my wrath, and their own way have I recompensed upon their heads, saith Yahuwah Elohim. One thing you see, let me get this Micah 3 on top of that. So I know a lot of people like to look at the Christian church and they say these boys be getting people for money, 3 and 9 if you would, but that's been a constant thing because money corrupts. People desire wealth so they can buy things or do whatever the case may be that they want to do. And people will do it for money. They'll do anything for money in order to get it. So when we look at this Micah 3 and 9, hear this, I pray you, you heads of the house of Jacob and princes of the house of Yasharal, that abhor judgment and pervert all equity. They build up Zion with blood and Jerusalem with iniquity. The heads thereof judge for reward, and the priests thereof teach for hire, and the prophets thereof divine for money. Yet will they lean upon Yahuwah and say, is Yahuwah among us, and none evil can come upon us. So again, you're seeing that they're doing that for hire. This woman who has this issue has spent all of her money or all of her living, all her goods and resources for healing and received none. Back to verse 44 of Luke chapter 8. Came behind him and touched the border of his garment, and immediately her issue of blood stanched. Now, remember, we looked at that in Greek. That stanched means to be firm. So when we look at as soon as she came behind him and touched the border of his garment or his wing, let's grab the word kanaf or the spelling. I want to say it's kaf, noon, and pay, but let me verify. And indeed it was. So you have kaf, noon, and pay. So you understand that by the word, there was a subduing that brought forth life. And her subduing or a level of humility, the word has spoke humility to bring forth life. So when we look at this humility, what she was referring to, she's humbled herself in order to grab hold unto him in order to be able to stand firm. The reason why I wanted to confirm, make sure that word, that pay was in kanaf, is because of what the master told us in Matthew, that he that hear his word is stand upon it has built his house upon a rock. Going back to what we have discussed before, that Yahuwah is your rock because he is immovable. So knowing that he is immovable, when you grab hold of the border of his garment, then your issue of blood will be staunched, and therefore you'll be able to stand firm. Therefore, the stain of blood or the uncleanness of blood that was upon you is now removed. Let's come back to Luke 8 and 45. Luke 8 and 45. Yahushua said, who touched me? When all denied, Peter said, they that were with him said, Master, the multitude throng you and press you and say, you who touched me? Yahushua said, somebody have touched me, for I perceive that virtue is gone out of me. Now, this is a very important statement. He said that he perceived that some manner of virtue had departed from him. Virtue here is dunamis. And in that is strength, power, ability, inherent power. Power residing in a thing by virtue of its nature. Power to perform a miracle, an excellent soul. Miraculous power. Nevertheless, he felt strength depart from him when this woman touched it. Why is this important? Because trust in Yahuwah forever, for Yahuwah is everlasting strength. She received strength when she grabbed hold unto him. Therefore, because she received strength when she grabbed hold unto him, therefore the issue of blood could be staunched, so therefore she could stand firm, taking us back to those words that were in the Leviticus. Let's revisit those words that were in Leviticus, because they have escaped my brain just that quickly. The first one being issue, the other one being flowers. So with that issue or that flow or that discharge, which is Zod, Zayin, U, and Ba, us understanding that we have an issue That issue being death. Death by product of sin, therefore blood being upon us. So we have a flow, an issue, or a discharge. Zayin, U, and Ba. In order to remedy that discharge, the nail had to cut the son. He had to be offered. Let's take a look at this. Let's just see where things will drop. We'll just pick a random book and a random chapter and see what comes about it. Well, we're dealing with the book of Psalms, so let's stay there. We just tried to. That's not gonna happen. Psalm 73. Let's look at verse 1. Psalm 73 and 1. Truly Elohim is good to Yasharal, even to such as are of clean heart. Let's establish good. So we know that is pleasant. Clean is for bar. That's a sincere. Remember that? What is that? Numbers 24, where Yahushua son of Nun say that we serve him in sincerity, in truth, pure, clean, clear, sincere, empty. Ba and Raj, the son of Elohim, the house of Elohim, even such. Continuing on. But as for me, my feet were almost gone. My steps had well near slipped. For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. There are no bands in their death. Their strength is firm. Now, bands in this particular term is karsuba. That is bands, pains. No pain for them. I know that's what a lot of our people probably see when you go about and you see certain people that have wealth. Matter of fact, let's just do this. Luke 16. Luke 16. Let's just do that. He said, when I sat back, I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. Prosperity here is shalom, completeness, safety, soundness, welfare, health, prosperity, tranquility, contentment, so on and so forth. Luke 16 and 19. There was a certain rich man which was clothed in purple and fine linen and fared sumptuously every day. There was a certain beggar named Lazarus which was laid at his gate full of sores, desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. It came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the Malachim into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. And in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torments, and see Abraham afar off and Lazarus in his bosom. When he cried, he said, Abba Abraham, have mercy on me and send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. But Abraham said, Son, remember that you in your lifetime received your good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is comforted and you are tormented. Now, this is the thing. We'll look at all the stuff that you see these people out here having, and they seem to be peaceful and content and prospering in their wickedness. And it doesn't seem that they have any pain in their death, and their strength is also firm. But in reality, there is pain in their death, and their strength is not firm. When you look at firm here, that is bare, that is fat, fatter, plenteous, bat, rosh, yad, and olive. So when you look at strength in this regard, it's looking at that even when they perish, they have wealth. Because that's what we'll sit back and see. You'll see some of these probably heads of a rich family die, and you looking at they went in the grave with all these resources, and it means absolutely nothing. That's why we came here to read the Luke 16. We're not going all the way down, because though they fared well in life, that's where it stops. And where they had comfort in life, they'll have torment in death. But let's continue. Verse 5, they are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore, pride compassed them about as a chain, and violence covered them as a garment. That's what we're turning around, and you can see what the scribes and with that zub, because Yahushua had that discharge, and he had to be able for this discharge to be stanched so that we could be able to be firm. He had to be cut and nailed. Let's continue. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than their heart could wish. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. When we look at speaking wickedly as it pertains to oppression, oppression, of course, is injury, extortion, unjust gain. Well, amen, Trina. Amen. A deceitfully gotten thing. Oshek. They speak evil oppression, because that's what Ra is, what they have there for wickedly. And we kind of ended off there in John 11 on Saturday about them wanting to speak oppression by saying we'll lose our place in nation, and their desire to murder Yahushua. Let's continue. Verse 10, therefore his people return hither, and the waters of a full cup are wrung out to them. So when you look at waters of a full cup, Ma'im, Sab, I believe, for cup, or Sub, it's not cooperating at this time. But you should know what this is. And if you don't, I'll grab it for you momentarily. Well, when you got, that's true. When you have wrung out, you have drained, matzah, to drain out, to be drained, to squeeze out, to wring out. So we'll look at Psalm 75 in that regard. Psalm 75. I'll pick it up at verse 1. It ain't but a handful. It said, unto you, O Elohim, do we give thanks. Unto you do we give thanks, for that your name is near and your wondrous works declare. And see, there goes that wondrous, that extraordinary, that miraculous thing. Those are the things that declare that this is our Elohim. This is how we know. This is how we determine and are able to recognize that he is so. When I shall receive the congregation, I will judge uprightly. The earth and all the inhabitants thereof are dissolved. I bear up the pillars of it. Selah. Now, we didn't talk about that, about the dissolving. You know that he'll come and he's going to set it on fire. When we look at the pillars, I'll grab this for you real quick, like. And right here in 1 Samuel 2 and 3. You can come on around here to it. 1 Samuel 2 and 3. There's a few things there. I'm going to go ahead and grab them all. You can make it one. Hannah prayed and said, my heart rejoiced in Yahuwah. My horn is exalted in Yahuwah. My mouth is enlarged over my enemies because I rejoice in your salvation. Of course, enlarging is expansion. You have an expansion over death and over sin and over Satan. So therefore, that's why you rejoice in Yahushua. There's none Kadash as Yahuwah, for there's none beside you. Neither is there any rock like our Elohim. Talk no more so exceeding proudly. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth. For Yahuwah is an Elohim of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty men are broken, and they that stumbled are girded with strength. They that were full have hired out themselves for bread, and they that were hungry ceased. Let's take a look at those and make all that clear. It's a lot to be determined from there. That's why I read it. So first and foremost, they that have stumbled. Let's look at stumbled. Stumbled is kasal, to stagger, to be overthrown, to be injured. More importantly, to be made weak. Those who have been made weak, therefore, are girded with strength. That is the main point that we're supposed to be focusing on. Girded is a zar, which is, of course, is to be girded. Aleph, Zayin, and Raj. There was strength from the cutting of Yahushua. That is where your strength come from. Again, referring back to the Zub, or the issue of blood that proceeded from him. That issue of blood, him being pierced in the side, blood and water coming out, therefore to be able to cleanse us from our issue of blood. With that being stated, when we are weak, he is able to gird you with strength. Again, trust in Yahuwah. for trust in Yahuwah is everlasting strength. They that would have hired out themselves for bread. That's what we want to look at. Those that would have hired themselves out. This one here is Sakar. It is someone who has hired themselves, a temporary purchase to earn wages, reward. Shan, Kaf, and Rosh. He said they've done this for bread, and they that were hungry will cease. Now, we already read you can come buy bread for no charge. Of course, you know bread is lakim, lamad, kat, and mean. Hungry, that's what we want. Ceased, kadal, stop, cease, desist, forego, leave off, kat, dalit, rosh. Separated by the hanging of the shepherd. Separated by the chastisement of the hanging of the shepherd. Nevertheless, that caused it to cease. Remember, they that hunger and thirst after righteousness shall be filled. But also this part, so that the barren have borne 7, and she that hath many children is waxed feeble. Shalom, Saran, man. Let's look at barren. A car, which we've talked about before, sterile, barren. So the woman who had no children brought forth 7. Do you have any idea what this means? That the woman who had no children have brought forth 7. Do any of you have any idea? The woman who was barren with no children have brought forth 7. The woman that has many children has been waxed feeble. Feeble is a mal, to weak, to droop, to languish, to be exhausted. Does anybody have any idea what that could be? Anybody before, because we're getting close to our time. Anybody have any idea what that could mean? So that the barren have borne 7, and she that have many children is waxed feeble. Y'all ain't got no idea for that one. Y'all let me know now if you don't. Oh, no. Now the woman that's barren is actually giving birth to 7 offsprings. So that's not going to be in the abominable way. Oh, I thought this was a layup for y'all. Clearly it is not. Yes, it would. But not in the aspect of the 7 women being one man, but of the 7 assemblies. The one who was barren. Remember, Yahushua had not brought forth any children. Remember Isaiah 66, shall he come forth to the birth, come forth and not bring forth? So that barren woman would be Mashiach, and therefore be giving birth unto 7, or the 7 houses. The woman who waxed feeble is Babylon, because she said, I am a widow, and I shall see no pain. Come over here to Isaiah 47, if you don't know what I'm referring to. (47:7). Yes, sir. And you said, I shall be a lady forever, so that you did not lay these things to your heart. Neither did you remember the latter end of it. Therefore, hear now this, you that are given to pleasure and that dwell carelessly, that say in your heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these 2 things shall come to you in a moment, In one day, the loss of children and widowhood, they shall come upon you in their perfection, for the multitude of your sorceries and for the great abundance of your enchantments. For you have trusted in your wickedness and have said, none see me. Your wisdom and your knowledge it have perverted you. And you said in your heart, I am, and none else beside me. So you see that both times it said that I am. So you get the alluding. You get what's going on here. What's going on? What is actually being stated by this bald-headed whore? Does anybody have any idea what is being said by this bald-headed whore? Now, it don't actually say I am, so let me not do y'all like that. But it is a need. Simply I, me, mine. That verse, it says it in verse 10. It also says it in verse 8, because that am, if you catch it, it's in italics. So to let you know that am is not there. But I wanted to see if y'all would catch it to see, hey, maybe this person is saying that they're God, and that would take them to dealing with the beast. But this is Babylon or the whore talking. So when you see that she'll have a great loss of children, you see how that ties into Samuel, that Mashiach shall have children, and the woman who had children, children shall perish. Verse 6 of 1 Samuel chapter 2. Yahuwah kill and make alive, he bring down to the grave and bring up. So again, we see this, the killing and resurrecting of Mashiach, because we know he bring to the grave, he kill, he make alive. Kill is muth, as you should know. Kaya is the word for alive. You know Sheol is for grave, and Allah for bringing up. Ayin, Lamad, and Hay. Behold and experience the shepherd is for as the bringing up. That is what allow us to come from the grave. Verse 7, Yahuwah make poor and make rich. He bring low, he lift up. He raise up the poor out of the dust and lift the beggar from the dunghill to set them among princes, to make them inherit the throne of esteem. For the pillars of the earth are Yahuwah's, and he have set the world upon them. Now, of course, remember, we were in Psalm 73 looking at them pillars. He said the pillars of the earth are of Yahuwah's. That is a pillar, that is a column, that is something that supports. Masuk, Mim, Sod, U, and Kuf. So when we look at what we were at in Psalm 73, where did I grab that from? No, I forgot. Oh, Psalm 75. So when we look at that in Psalm 75, where we were at in verse 1, boom, verse 3, that the earth and the inhabitants are dissolved, but he upholds the pillars. Yahushua will uphold the support of the earth. If you remember in Isaiah 45, if I'm not mistaken, he said he made the earth to be inhabited and that it will abide forever. Let's return to Psalm 75. We got to get it ready to wrap this up and get on out of here. Psalm 75 4. I said unto the fools, deal not foolishly, and to the wicked lift not up the horn. Lift not up the horn on high, speak not with a stiff neck. For promotion come neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. Elohim is the judge. He put down one and set up another. For in the hand of Yahuwah there is a cup, and the wine is red. It is full of mixture. He pour out the same, and the dregs thereof, all the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them. But I will declare forever, I will sing praises to the Elohim of Jacob. All the horns of the wicked also will I cut off, but the horns of the righteous shall be exalted. We came there for that passage of him wringing out that there's a cup of Yahuwah, and the dregs, he will wring them out, and the wicked shall drink from them. Come back to Psalm 73. We were in verse 10 where he says that there's waters of a full cup and are wrung out to them. There's a full cup, and he wrings them out, gives it over to the wicked. Why does he do this? Well, remember, I think I skipped about 2-3 verses. No, I didn't. I think I skipped verse 9, though. He said, they set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walked through the earth. That is also pertaining to the beast and all those people with their ungodly speeches that they speak against this man. That's why there's a cup set for them. Verse 11. And they say, how do Elohim know? Is there knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world. They increase in riches. Truly, I cleanse my heart in vain, and I wash my hands in innocency. A lot of individuals feel that way, that they're serving Yahuwah and they're not getting. That's another reason why a lot of people walk away from the word, because some people feel like they don't increase financially. So they're looking at the wicked and they're seeing them prosper, and they're wondering, well, if I'm serving God, why am I not increasing financially? And there could be a multitude of reasons why Yahuwah does not allow individuals to increase financially. But that definitely is a stumbling block for many, which causes them to walk away. Let's continue. But let's see that one, that especially with that, when that goes to getting caught up in the cares and affairs of this life, it chokes the word off, and you ain't able to bring forth no fruit. Because we talked about this already in Philippians 4, you end up getting anxious. When you get up getting anxious, that means you begin to worry. And when you begin to worry, that means you began to not to trust in Yahuwah that he will do what he said he will do. And there's no need to worry. There's never any need for us to have any level of anxiety about anything. Now, when I say that, of course, we know that we're human beings. You're in the flesh. You're a natural person. And anxiety for some people is an environmental response. Some people it's just, hey, certain outside stimuli bring that forth. And sometimes that just come up out of what, people be anxious about all manner of things. But we've already went through that Philippians 4 on what we ought to do when anxiety arises, to think on those things that are pure, to think on Elohim, to pray and things of that nature, because it's everlasting peace should abide with you, that should cause the anxiety to subside. Because at the end of the day, we've talked about this before. This man say, by which one of you by taking one thought can add 1 cubit to your stature? And that today is sufficient for the evil thereof. So therefore, if you know that there's not anything that you can necessarily do, there's no need to be anxious about it, because Yahuwah is faithful and he will do what he said he will do. And he is an executor in his own time. That's why we just read that. He'll take a poor man, set him amongst kings, take you straight from the dunghill. That's not, I've always told you that's a light thing. For this man to increase men's wealth, that is a small matter. That's not even a difficult thing to do. I think we really think that is very, very difficult on his behalf. That is a light matter. And as he said in another place, is there anything too hard for Yahuwah? And it is not. Let's continue. Where am I at? I am in verse 12. Behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world, and they increase in riches. Truly, I have cleansed my heart in vain and washed my hands in innocency. For all the day long, I have been plagued and chastened every morning. There's your Lazarus reference, as we've read earlier. If I say I will speak thus, behold, I shall offend against the generation of your children. When I thought to know this, it was too painful for me. Until I went into the sanctuary of Elohim, then I understood their end. That's why we read the Luke 16 again. Because you could sit back, you go into the sanctuary, you've seen what his end was. He also tell you that in James. Surely you did set them in slippery places and cast them down into destruction. How they are brought into desolation, as in a moment they are utterly consumed with terrors. As a dream when one wakes, so, O Lord, when you awake, you shall despise their image. Thus my heart was grieved, and I was pricked in my reins. So foolish was I, and ignorant I was as a beast before you. Nevertheless, I am continually with you. You have holden me by your right hand. You shall guide me with your counsel, and afterwards receive me to esteem. And came here just for any reference of this man's death and or resurrection. He said that he shall receive him in his esteem afterwards, because he's been guided with the counsel. Philippians chapter 3. This also, especially, what is the verse that was this in my brain? Being holden by your right hand, being received into esteem. And, we kind of talked about that last week in regards to that Psalm 17, that you would be able to see his image or his likeness upon your resurrection. Or the Job 19:25, if you would. 3 and 20. 3 and 20. He say, for our conduct is in Shamahim, for whence also we look for the Savior, the Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, who shall change our vile body, that it may be fashioned like unto his esteemed body, according to the working where he is able even to subdue all things unto himself. Because that's what, matter of fact, 1 Corinthians 15 also. That's another thing we'll be looking for in regards to being received into his esteem. Because we have a hope that people do not have. You have a faith in Mashiach. You have a hope in a resurrection that the world does not have. That's why we're not supposed to sorrow as they sorrow. They sorrow because they have no hope. (15 and 40). 1 Corinthians 15 and 40. There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial, but the esteem of the celestial is one, and the esteem of the terrestrial is another. There's one esteem of the sun, and another esteem of the moon, and another esteem of the stars, for one star different from another star in esteem. So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption, it is raised in incorruption. It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in esteem. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. It is sown in natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. There's a natural body, there's a spiritual body. And we're still taking this to time to this fact of the woman with the issue of blood. Because the woman of the issue of blood is symbolic of Yasharal having the issue of blood or the issue of sin or the issue of death, and her faith to grab hold to Elohim or grab hold to the Son, because we have heard that Elohim is with them, that the issue may be stopped and our uncleanliness may be removed and that we may be firm in our faith. But let's continue in back to Psalm 73. Psalm 73 and 25. He said, whom have I in Shamahim? But you, it's not there. Who do you have in heaven? There's none upon earth that I desire besides you. My heart and my flesh and my heart fail. Elohim is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. For lo, they are there that are far from you. For lo, they that are far from you shall perish. You have destroyed all them that go a whoring from you. But it is good for me to draw near to Elohim. I put my trust in Yahuwah Elohim, that I may declare all your works. So let's return. Where were we at? To Luke chapter 8. God bless Brother Langford. Luke chapter 8. Now we read through all that because he said, I felt strength go from me. Understand that when you grab hold to Mashiach, the strength that is in him transports over to you, because you are one with him. You're joined unto him. He's joined unto you. Therefore, his strength becomes your strength. Therefore, trust in Yahuwah, for Yahuwah is everlasting strength. Verse 46 of Luke chapter 8, one more time. Yahushua said, somebody have touched me, for I perceive that strength is gone out of me. When the woman saw that she was not hid, she came trembling, falling down before him, and she declared unto him before all the people for what cause she had touched him, and how she was healed immediately. He said unto her, daughter, be of good comfort. Your faith has made you whole. Go in shalom. See, that's what a lot of people don't understand, is that your faith, let's look at that, make you whole, is what makes individuals whole. That is what brings forth the healing. See, they just weren't healed because Mashiach could heal. They were healed because they believed that he was he. See, if you don't believe that he is Elohim and that he is able, then you will not be healed. When we look at whole, it is sadizo, to save, to keep safe, to rescue. Simple as that. To preserve one who is in danger, to save, to deliver, to protect. Well, what are we being protected from? You're being protected from his wrath. Your faith is what makes you whole. Let's go back to the Leviticus 15. And let's look at verse 25. one more time. Remember, it said that the woman have an issue of blood many days out of the time of her separation. That means this is past the time of a woman's regular cycle. This is nada, yet again, for separation, impurity, menstruous, filthiness, set apart. It done went beyond that. And also we talked about flowers. That was the other word. A woman who is sick of her flowers. Dave is for sick, faint, unwell, or menstruous, a menstruous cloth. Dalit. Hey. Behold, again, the nailing to the door, or the hanging of the door, or behold the nail that hung Mashiach. However you want to look at it. You can look at the man with raised arms was hung with a nail. Nevertheless, that caused him to be faint, unwell, and weak, because through his weakness we are made strong. Now it says, sick of her flowers, a menstruous impurity. Simple as that. That's what that woman had. She had a menstruous impurity. She was sick of flowers for 12 years. Do you not find that ironic that it mentioned that she was sick of flowers for 12 years? I made sure that was 12 because it might have said 8. I could have been mistaken. No, 12 years. 12 tried, 12 years. She was sick of her flowers. Now look what you have to offer up in this regard. You have to offer up a sin offering and a burnt offering in order to make the atonement or the redemption. We don't have time this evening more so to do it. You who are willing will come back on the Shabbat and do it. But you got your olah for your sin offering. A burnt offering, excuse me. And you got your kata for your sin offering. And of course, you got to give up 2 turtles, 2 pigeons. Dove, turtle, dove. You know that's Tau, and Rosh. The covenant has been secured by the highest. 2 young pigeons. Yonah, dove, pigeon, Yod, Noon, and Hey. So you sit back and look at that. The works have secured, or the works of Yahushua have secured us life. As forth as the pigeon is concerned, both of them being given up for a sin offering and a burnt offering. Of course, you know the burnt offering is the sufferings or the affliction of Mashiach, him himself being the sin offering, which therefore makes the atonement for you who are for the issue of uncleanliness, so that you don't die in your uncleanliness when you are defiled in the tabernacle, which is your body, which belongs to him. But for right now, we'll stop right now because there's a lot more to add, and we can't get to all that this evening. But hallelujah for Yahushua and the word. Blessings be to y'all at the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua, you who are willing. We'll pick this up on the Shabbat. What's today's date? The 8th. I think it's the 19th. We will take off trumpets. The 19th is on what day? That is on the Sunday. That is on the Sunday. So we'll have service that Sunday evening at about 8:30 our surmise. And we'll do it like that. But again, we're just looking at all those things, put all those things together, keep on rolling down to Psalms 139. And of course, we stopped in verse 9. All this is coming from of his wings in the morning, which is pertaining to grabbing hold of him upon his return in the morning, like we read in Zechariah 14. Therefore, there's healing in those wings. Because we didn't grab that because that's in Malachi chapter 4. And when you grab hold unto him, then there's the healing and all of those things. And of course, for a few more of those matters, we'll elucidate on further on the Shabbat. But again, blessings out the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. I appreciate y'all time. Love y'all, you who are willing. Until the next time.